Elon Musk sat on a bench in a quiet park, gazing at the clouds drifting slowly across the sky. He wasn't there to ponder technology or business strategies that day. Instead, he sought a moment of mental clarity, a break from his usual whirlwind of thoughts. As he watched the sky, a young girl dashed by, her laughter echoing through the air. She looked no older than 7, her eyes shining with delight as she spun around, carefree and joyful. Elon gave a faint smile, though his mind was elsewhere, lost in introspection. Just as he prepared to leave, the girl approached him with a beaming grin. "Hi," she said cheerfully. Caught off guard by her boldness, Elon returned her smile. "Hello," he replied, his curiosity piqued. She stood before him, peering up with innocent curiosity. "Do you believe in God?" she asked abruptly, her voice pure and unassuming. Elon was startled by the question. It wasn't the sort of thing he expected from a child, let alone a stranger. He paused, considering his response carefully. "I'm not sure," he answered truthfully. "I've never really been certain." The girl tilted her head, studying him with a thoughtful expression. "Why not? God is real, you know," she declared, with unwavering confidence, her words free of doubt. Elon felt an odd tension in the air. Why would a child pose such a profound question? What could she possibly understand about life that he, with all his experience, hadn't grasped? What would she say next? Intrigued, he decided to turn the question back on her. "Why do you believe in God?" he asked. Her smile widened and she plopped down beside him on the bench, her legs swinging back and forth. "Because he's always with me," she said simply. "Even when I can't see him, I know he's there." Elon was captivated. He had encountered countless people in his life, but this child possessed a certainty that many adults lacked. What gave her such conviction? What had she experienced to make her believe so deeply? He wanted to understand, but before he could ask, she spoke again. "Do you want to know how I know God is real?" she asked, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Elon nodded, leaning forward slightly. "Yes, please tell me," he said. The girl looked up at the sky and gestured broadly. "God made all of this," she said, her voice soft but filled with wonder. "The clouds, the trees, the bird 7, you and me. He's in everything, all around us." Why did her words resonate so deeply? Elon sat quietly, reflecting on what she had said. He had dedicated his life to unraveling the mysteries of the universe, but he had never considered it in this light. Could there be something greater than all he had ever known? As the girl continued speaking, Elon felt a stirring in his heart, a sense of awe he hadn't experienced in years. There was something about her words that awakened a long-dormant part of him. Could this child's simple faith hold more power than all the knowledge he had accumulated? What might he discover if he kept listening? Her words lingered in the air, and Elon found himself unable to shake them. How could someone so young speak with such assurance? He watched her as she talked about God, her voice radiating a calm that was almost comforting. "Why don't you believe in God?" she asked again, her tone gentler this time. Elon took a deep breath, choosing his words carefully. "I suppose I've always focused on what I can see and touch," he explained. "I've spent my life trying to understand the world through science, and that hasn't really led me to God." The girl nodded, as if she understood. "But you don't need to see God to know He's there," she said quietly. "You just have to feel Him in your heart." Could feeling truly be enough to believe? Elon felt a strange warmth as she spoke, as if her words were gently unlocking something within him. He had always relied on logic and reason, but now, for the first time, he wondered if there might be more to life than what could be quantified or proven. Could it really be that straightforward? "Can you tell me more about how you feel God's presence?" Elon asked, his curiosity deepening. The girl smiled, her eyes twinkling. "Of course," she said. "Sometimes when I'm scared or sad, I talk to God. I ask Him to help me, and I know He's listening because I feel better afterward. Could a simple prayer bring such peace?" Elon thought about the countless nights he had spent burdened by worry, feeling the weight of his responsibilities. Was this child suggesting that all he needed to do was speak to God to find solace? It seemed almost too easy, too simplistic. But she wasn't finished. "Sometimes I just sit quietly and listen," she added. "When everything is still, I can feel God in the silence. It's like He's whispering to me, telling me everything will be okay." What was this whisper she described? Elon looked at her in awe. This child had a connection to something far greater than anything he had ever encountered. Could it be that he had been searching for answers in all the wrong places? Could this little girl, with her unshakable faith, hold the key to something he had overlooked? As the afternoon faded into evening, the girl continued sharing her beliefs, each word chipping away at Elon's doubts. But a lingering question gnawed at him. "If God is real, why does He let bad things happen?" he asked, his voice soft but firm. It was a question that had troubled him for years, one he had never been able to resolve. He had witnessed so much suffering, poverty, conflict, pain. How could a loving God allow such things? The girl's expression grew serious, her playful demeanor fading. "That's a hard question," she admitted. "My mom says that sometimes bad things happen so we can learn how strong we are. God doesn't want us to be sad, but He knows we need to go through hard times to grow. Could there be a purpose to pain?" Elon nodded slowly, trying to absorb her words. Could it be true? Could life's challenges serve a deeper purpose beyond what he could perceive? He'd always seen pain as a random occurrence, a byproduct of a chaotic world, but this child was suggesting something profound, that pain wasn't meaningless, but a part of growth. She continued, her voice gentle but certain. "My dad used to say that we only see part of the picture, but God sees it all. We might be hurting now, but later we'll understand why it mattered." Elon stared at the ground, his mind racing. Had he been viewing life from the wrong perspective all along? In his career, some of his greatest breakthroughs had come from his toughest challenges, but this was different. This wasn't about business or innovation. It was about the essence of existence itself. How could a child grasp such complex ideas? Elon leaned back on the bench, closing his eyes for a moment. He felt something stirring within him, something that had been dormant for years. It was as if the girl's words were peeling back layers of skepticism he had built up over time. He opened his eyes and looked at her again. "You speak like someone who's been through a lot," he said gently. "Why do you believe in God so strongly? Did something happen to you?" The girl paused, her cheerful demeanor fading as she glanced at her hands. There was a heavy silence, and Elon sensed she was gathering her thoughts. "Yes," she said softly, "something did happen." Elon's chest tightened. There was a deeper story here, and he wanted to understand it. She kept her gaze on her hands, her small fingers tracing invisible patterns on her lap. After a moment, she spoke. "Last year, my mom was really sick," she began, her voice trembling slightly. "The doctors didn't think she'd get better. Everyone was so scared, I was scared." Her voice broke, and she paused to steady herself. Elon remained silent, giving her space. "I prayed every night," she continued. "I asked God to help my mom. I didn't know if he would, but I kept praying." She paused again, her eyes growing distant, as if reliving those moments. "One night, after I prayed, I felt something different. I wasn't scared anymore. I knew in my heart that God was listening." Could her prayer have changed everything? Elon was captivated. What could have happened next? He had always dismissed prayer as mere wishful thinking, but hearing this from a child who had faced such a personal ordeal made him question that belief. "What happened after that?" Elon asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The girl looked up, her eyes shining with a mix of sadness and hope. "My mom started getting better," she said. "It didn't happen all at once, but little by little, she got stronger. The doctors couldn't explain it, but I knew it was because of God." Was it truly a miracle? Elon's mind raced as he processed her story. Could it have been divine intervention? He had heard of unexplained recoveries before, always attributing them to science or the body's natural healing abilities. But this girl was steadfast in her belief that God had answered her prayers. "Do you think it was a miracle?" he asked, already anticipating her response. She nodded without hesitation. "Yes," she said. "I know it was. God was with us the whole time, and even if my mom hadn't gotten better, I know he would have been with us anyway." How could she remain so certain, even if the outcome had been different? Elon felt a wave of emotion surge through him. Her faith wasn't just about receiving what she wanted, it was deeper, rooted in trust in something greater, regardless of the result. As the sun dipped lower, casting a warm orange glow across the park, Elon's heart felt heavier with each passing moment. The girl's story had touched a vulnerable part of him he hadn't expected to confront. He had always prided himself on his logic, relying on facts and evidence, but now, faced with this child's unwavering faith, his doubts began to surface. "How can you be so sure?" he asked, his voice tinged with frustration not at her, but at the uncertainty swirling within him. "Isn't there a part of you that wonders if it might just be a coincidence?" The girl smiled, not mockingly, but with understanding. "It's okay to have doubts," she said softly. "Even grown-ups don't have all the answers, but I think that's why we need to believe in God. We can't understand everything. Sometimes we just have to trust." Could trust be the key he had been missing? Elon looked at her, a mix of admiration and disbelief in his eyes. How could a child possess such wisdom? He had spent his life seeking answers through science and exploration, but now he wondered if the answers might lie in something simpler, something as fundamental as faith. "What about all the bad things in the world?" Elon pressed, his mind still wrestling with the concept. "If God is real, why doesn't he stop all the suffering?" The girl's expression turned thoughtful. "I asked my mom that too," she said quietly. "She told me that God gave us free will, and sometimes people make bad choices. But that doesn't mean God isn't with us. When things go wrong, he helps us get through it." Could there be a purpose to suffering that he had never considered? Elon sat back, stunned by the simplicity and depth of her words. He had always viewed suffering as something to avoid or overcome through human effort, but this child was suggesting that even in the darkest times, there was something greater at work, something that offered hope when all seemed lost. For the first time in a long time, Elon found himself at a loss for words. The silence between them was calm, but charged with the weight of their conversation. He stared at the sky, the colors deepening as the sun set, and felt the question stirring inside him like never before. The girl, sensing a shift, stood up and pointed to the sky. "Look at that sunset, it's so beautiful, isn't it?" she said. "My mom used to say that sunsets are God's way of reminding us He's always there, even when we can't see Him." Elon followed her gaze. The sky was a stunning blend of oranges, pinks, and purples as the sun slipped below the horizon. He had seen countless sunsets, but tonight felt different. For the first time, he wasn't analyzing it through a scientific lens, thinking about atmospheric conditions or the Earth's rotation. Instead, he felt something deeper, something almost spiritual. Could this be the moment he begins to see the world differently? The girl sat back down beside him. "When I look at the sunset," she said, "I remember that God made everything, and that includes you and me. We're part of something bigger, that's why I believe." Her words lingered like the fading colors of the sky. Elon had always prided himself on understanding complex systems, but now he faced a fundamental question. Could there be a creator behind it all? Could there be a purpose he had overlooked in his pursuit of knowledge and progress? The girl tilted her head, watching him closely. "Do you ever wonder why you're here?" she asked quietly. "Not just here in this park, but why you're alive." How could Elon answer such a profound question? He swallowed hard. He had never liked dwelling on existential matters, preferring the realm of the tangible things he could prove, measure, or build. But sitting on this park bench with a child who spoke with such simple faith, he couldn't avoid it any longer. "I guess I've never really thought about it that way," he said, his voice low. The girl nodded, as if his response made perfect sense. "It's okay," she said. "A lot of people don't. But I think that's why it's so important to believe in God. He gives us a reason to be here, even when we don't understand everything." Elon gazed at the horizon, the last rays of sunlight vanishing behind the trees. For the first time, he felt small in a way that wasn't diminishing but humbling. It wasn't the insignificance he felt when pondering the vastness of the universe. It was the sense of being part of something greater than himself. "I've spent my life trying to find answers," Elon said, his voice barely audible. "But maybe I've been looking in the wrong places." The girl smiled, her eyes twinkling with understanding. "God doesn't hide," she said simply. "Sometimes we just have to stop and listen." Could this be the moment Elon begins to listen? He felt something shift within him, not a sudden epiphany, but a quiet settling of his soul, as if the questions he had been running from were finally catching up, and for the first time, he didn't feel the need to outrun them. "Do you think God listens to all of us?" Elon asked, surprising himself with the question. The girl nodded, her expression earnest. "Yes, even when we're angry or sad or don't believe, He listens because He loves us. My mom told me that God's love is bigger than anything we can imagine even when we feel lost. He's still there. Elon's throat tightened. He had never considered love in such a profound way. To him, love had always been a human emotion, powerful but limited. The idea of an infinite love, one that transcended understanding, was almost overwhelming. As he sat beside this girl who spoke with such calm certainty, he wondered if there might be truth in her words. The park grew darker, the sun fully set, and the first stars began to twinkle in the sky. The girl stood up, stretching, her face glowing with the innocence of a child who had shared something meaningful. "I should probably go," she said. "My mom will be waiting for me." Elon felt a pang of sadness. He didn't want her to leave. There were still so many questions, so much he hadn't figured out. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for talking to me." The girl smiled, her eyes bright. "It was nice to talk to you too," she said. "Remember what I said, God's always there. You just have to believe." Could this simple statement mark the beginning of a new journey for Elon? He watched as she skipped away, her small figure fading into the shadows. For a long time, he remained on the bench, staring up at the night sky. The stars shone brilliantly, like diamonds against a velvet backdrop. He had spent much of his life gazing at the stars, dreaming of reaching them, but now, for the first time, he wondered if the answers he sought weren't in the cosmos, but within himself. As the night deepened, a sense of peace washed over him, not the peace of having all the answers, but the peace of knowing it was okay not to. For the first time, he felt that maybe he didn't need to have everything figured out. Maybe there was something greater, something he had been missing all along. And as he sat alone in the park, with only the stars as witnesses, Elon Musk did something he hadn't done in years. She whispered a quiet prayer. Would this prayer change his life forever? The answer, he knew, would come in time. For now, it was enough to believe.